This week's video lesson is on converting customary units of capacity. Okay, so today we'll be able to convert between customary units of capacity. So remember, the customary system is the system of measurement the United States usually uses. The metric system is the system that most of the rest of the world uses. So last week we talked about capacity, and we talked about the metric units of capacity, which were just the liter and the milliliter. This week we're going to talk about the customary units of capacity, which there are a lot more of. Okay, so remember that capacity is the volume of a container measured in liquid units. So it's just the amount of liquid that can fit inside of a container. So in the customary system, the smallest unit of measurement is the teaspoon. And so this is an example of a teaspoon. And so you see teaspoons a lot when you're baking or cooking. And the abbreviation for teaspoon is TSP. Tablespoon is the next largest unit of measurement. And so we use tablespoons for baking and cooking as well. Tablespoons are bigger than teaspoons. And a way that I remember that is a table is bigger than a teacup. And the abbreviation for tablespoon is TBSP. We then have the fluid ounce. So a fluid ounce is about the size of a medicine cup, or the amount of a medicine cup that is filled up in these pictures. And so remember, I talked about medicine cups or giving medicine in terms of milliliters as well. So fluid ounces are comparable to those. Fluid ounce, the abbreviation is FL.OZ. Remember, we talked about ounces before. In terms of weight, a fluid ounce is its capacity. We then have a cup. The abbreviation for a cup is C, and so if you think about a teacup, that's about the size, or the amount of tea that can fit in a teacup is about the size of one cup. We then have a pint. The abbreviation for pint is PT. A pint is the size of a small milk carton. So the milk cartons that you guys get at lunch or breakfast, that's about 1 pint. A quart is the next largest unit of measurement, and the abbreviation for quart is QT. And a quart would be a large carton of orange juice, one that you would buy to keep in the refrigerator and that your whole family would kind of drink from for a whole week. So pint would be a small carton for an individual person. A quart would be a larger carton for multiple people. And then the largest unit of capacity is the gallon, and the abbreviation for gallon is GAL. And so most of you have probably seen a gallon of milk that mom, dad, grandma, grandpa buys from the grocery store. And so that's 1 gallon. So from least to greatest, your units are teaspoon, tablespoon, fluid ounce, cup, pint, quart, and gallon. We have our conversions right next to that. So 1 tablespoon is equal to 3 teaspoons. 1 fluid ounce is equal to 2 tablespoons. So just take 2 of these tablespoons to equal 1 of these amounts of liquid. We'll take 3 teaspoons to equal that size of 1 tablespoon. 1 cup is equal to 8 fluid ounces. So it would take 8 of those little medicine cups to fill up a teacup. 1 pint is equal to 2 cups. So 2 teacups would equal about the size of that milk carton. 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. And so it would take about 2 small cartons to equal 1 larger carton. 1 quart is equal to 4 cups. So it would take about 4 cups of tea to equal that large carton. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, so it would take about 4 larger cartons to equal 1 gallon. 1 gallon is also equal to 2 pints, so it would take 2 of those, not 2 pints. 1 gallon is equal to 8 pints. Sorry, if you wrote 2, make sure you erase it and write 8. So 1 gallon is 8 pints, so it would take 8 small cartons to equal 1 milk gallon. And then 1 gallon is equal to 16 cups. So it would take 16 teacups to equal 1 milk gallon. Okay, so remember, you are going to have to memorize your units of capacity. And there is a trick for memorizing some of these conversions. So on your paper, you see where the big G is written. And this big G, there's a trick to help you remember the conversions between gallons, quarts, cups, and pints. And so this big G stands for 1 gallon. So inside of 1 gallon, you guys are going to go ahead and draw 4 big Qs. Okay, and that goes with there are 4 quarts in a gallon. So if you can remember, inside one big G is 4 Qs. That'll help you remember 4 quarts are in a gallon. Inside each Q, you're going to draw 2 P's, and you're going to make sure the bubble part of the P is large enough to write inside of it. So this will help you remember that inside 1 Q, or 1 quart, is 2 pints, or 2 P's. And that will also help you remember that inside of 1 big gallon, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pints. So 1 gallon is 8 pints. And then inside each bubble part of each P, you're going to put 2 C's. And that will help you remember that inside 1 pint is 2 cups. So 1 pint is 2 cups. That'll also help you remember that inside 1 quart is 4 cups, because 2, 4. And that will also help you remember that 1 gallon is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 cups. So that takes care of helping you to remember several of those conversions that you'll have to memorize. So if you can remember the big G, 4 Qs, 2 Ps in each Q, 2 Cs in each P, that'll help you remember a lot of those conversions. Okay. We're going to follow the same steps that we've been using for converting measurements. Remember that to convert means to change. When we convert, we're trying to find how many of one unit are equal to another unit. Remember, our steps are always the same. We always label larger to smaller or smaller to larger. If it's larger to smaller, we multiply. If it's smaller to larger, we divide. We write our conversion between the units that we're changing, and then we use our conversion in our operation to solve. So example 1 says 4 gallons equals blank pints. Remember, a gallon is a milk jug, and a pint is a small milk carton, so a gallon is larger. So we're going larger to smaller. So remember, that means to multiply. The conversion from gallons to pints, 1 gallon is equal to 8 pints. And so remember, if we do our big G, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 P's. So if we have 4 gallons, 4 times 8 will give us 32 pints. Okay. So for our tape diagram, we're going to want 4 boxes, because each box stands for gallon. And inside each gallon is going to be 8 pints. So the total will be 32 pints. Okay. 7 quarts equals blank cups. So remember, a quart is a large orange juice carton. A cup is a teacup. So once again, we're going larger to smaller, which is going to be multiplication. 1 quart is equal to 4 cups. So that means that 7 groups of 4 will get us 28. So 7 quarts is going to be 28 cups. So for our tape diagram, 7 boxes. So each box stands for 1 quart. So inside each quart is 4 cups. So 7 times 4 will give us those 28 quarts. Okay. We can also use our conversion tables. So we've got here quarts to pints. So we're going quarts to pints. We're going larger to smaller, because a large carton is larger than a smaller carton. So we're multiplying. 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. So the rule for the table is going to be times 2. So when we have 1 quart, that'll be 2 pints. If we want to know how many quarts are equal to 8 pints, we can figure out what times 2 equals 8, which will be 4. Or remember, if we're going backwards, we can also use 8 divided by 2 will be 4. 6 quarts will be times 2, 12 pints. 18 pints divided by 2 will be 9 quarts. Okay. We can also change cups to fluid ounces. So once again, larger to smaller. So we multiply. Teacup is larger than a medicine cup. Conversion, 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces. So the conversion for our table will be times 8. So if we have 1 cup, 1 times 8 will be 8. 16 fluid ounces. We can say what times 8 will get us 16, which will be 2. We can also divide by 8. 32 fluid ounces will be 4 cups. 6 cups will be 48 fluid ounces.